So recently I've been watching a lot of Pokemon challenge videos, which has led me to wanting to carry out similar challenges and also make very similar content for the channel. I've also been playing a lot of Gears 5, which is amazing, by the way, you should really check it out. So I thought, why not put two and two together, since I never really play Pokemon on this channel, and I've came up with what I believe is a fairly difficult challenge. Can I complete the original Gears of War without shooting a gun? Now, it's been a very long time since I've played through the original Gears of War, so if memory serves me right, I do believe this will be a fairly difficult challenge, and there are some areas where I have to shoot a gun, quote unquote, depending on what your definition of gun may be, but we'll cover that in the rules before we get started with the actual challenge. So, I will be playing the original 360 version of Gears of War, however, I will be playing that on the Xbox One X. I won't be playing the remastered Ultimate Edition of it, so I will be playing the original version, which does make this challenge possibly a little bit easier and also possibly a little bit more difficult depending on your outlook on it. The original Gears of War doesn't have that Brumak fight which the Ultimate Edition and the PC versions do have, which is a godsend for this challenge. Otherwise I don't think I'd be able to melee or grenade or whatever it may be the actual Brumak to death. However, I will have to use some guns, like I say, depending on your definition of what a gun may be, namely the Berserker fight with the Hammer of Dawn. Also, like I said, it's been a hot minute since I've played the original Gears of War, so I don't really know if I'll be able to do the Corpser fight without shooting a gun, so that's one is a little bit up in the air, as well as the final General Ram fight at the same time. I know he's covered in krill, and I know you can kind of shoot the krill off, but can I defeat General Ram just by punching him, throwing grenades at him, and all that good stuff without shooting any bullets? Now, I will be playing fully single player. I will be playing on casual difficulty to make it as easy as I possibly can. I can use melee, I can use a Lancer, Chainsaw, Bayonet, I can also use as many grenades as I possibly can, and I can also make full use of the AI as well. Not to say that the AI is in any way, shape or form, going to be that super effective against the enemy, but if they manage to kill one or two locusts in the meantime, then that will certainly make my journey a little bit easier. The spotlights also do not count as well, when it comes to the krill section of the game, and I do believe there is an on-rails sort of section of it when you're in the back of a car, and I can't remember exactly how that plays out. Again, like I said, it's been a very long time since I played through the original Gears of War, so we'll have to take that bit, as it comes as well. But every other section, from the beginning to the end, I'm going to try my darndest to do it without shooting a gun in any way, shape or form. So yeah, let's just jump into it. So, in order to make this challenge as easy as possible, I decided to take the easy route as opposed to the more challenging route. However, I immediately ran into my first problem in this challenge, having to shoot this switch. Honestly, I tried to smack that switch as much as I possibly could, however it appears that it needed to be shot, and as soon as I shot the first one, I then had to shoot the second one that was miles away, so there was no way that I could have even got that one if I did manage to melee the first one. So I'm deciding early on that if something needs to be shot, like switches or things of that nature, or spotlights, then it doesn't count against this challenge. I also forgot how seriously unforgiving the first Gears of War is when it comes to melee combat and flinching, especially with the Lancer Bayonet, so we'll have to keep that in mind going forward, and I might have to change my tactics up a little bit. And I also forgot, playing single player in Gears of War 1, if you go down, you are dead. There's no AI help, there's no AI picking you up, there's no AI revives. If you go down, you are dead. I completely forgot about that, so that is going to make this challenge that little bit more challenging. And yeah, again, that's also something that I'll have to maybe change my tactics about as I approach each and every sort of situation. Oh, and there will also be a death counter, because I am going to die a lot during this challenge. Based on how unforgiving the melee combat is, I decided early on that my best tactic would be to flank enemies when possible, take full advantage of the Lancer, Chainsaw, Bayonet, and also use grenades as much as possible, especially when emergence holes start to show. Even on casual, this is more difficult than I initially imagined, but after some trial and error, I managed to get a nice tactic down and also utilise my AI companions for covering kills as much as possible, since they're not totally useless in the first Gears. My first real challenge was trying to flank the Troika turret after you find the Locust trap, as the Locusts don't tend to wander within punching distance of your fists. After a really silly death and finally killing the Locust in this area, I continued on as quickly as possible, punching things along the way, grenading holes whenever they popped up, and letting my AI companions do most of the work, and to be honest, it actually wasn't that bad. We then have to relive the most harrowing and heartbreaking death in all video game history. Don't at me, it's clearly the worst death that I've ever experienced, and after claiming our vengeance on every last Locust I could see, we continued on until we met the Coltrane.
Holy shit, it's one guy. You missed, you be fast, sucker. Damn!
We then punched a few wretches, found the Hammer of Dawn, and ran into a problem. Now, I completely forgot about the Seeders at this point in the game and found out pretty quickly that it's impossible to take them out without using the Hammer of Dawn, or at least this one, due to how far away it is. Like I mentioned in the rules though, I was aware that I'd have to use the hammer in the upcoming Berserker fight, so it's really down to your definition of what a gun may be. I then came across the second of the Seeders in this level, and since it's a bit closer, I thought I'd try chucking a few grenades its way, but unfortunately, it didn't work out and I had to resort to using the Hammer of Dawn once again. I'm not sure if grenades can even hurt the Seeders in this game, and even if they do, there's nowhere near enough in this part of the game for me to try, so the Hammer of Dawn it was. I took out the third Seeder in the same fashion and moved forward to the Berserker fight without any major issues. Except this death. And this one. There was a small issue when reaching this balcony where I ran out of grenades and thought I'd have to use my gun. However, after a short length of time and the AI doing some killings, it sort of just times out. I found out pretty quickly that there will be sections of this game that require you just to wait either due to level design, the lack of grenades, or the AI taking their sweet time to kill things, but you'll see that soon enough. Also, Kim died, but he's no Carmine. No one is. The Berserker fight went almost as smoothly as expected, however it did take a little longer as I couldn't gain her attention through shooting any guns, but when she finally made her way outside, it only took a few Hammer of Dawn blasts to take her down permanently. I then made my way through the crumbling street level and came across something that I was expecting to be a bit troublesome, the first introduction of the Boomer. It went a lot easier than expected though, and we got our first glimpse at something that was constantly in the back of my mind, the Corpser.
Corpser, it's pulling back. Yeah, it's gonna wait. Save us for later, like a snack.
I was then unfairly chainsawed, caught another sneaky glimpse of her lingering friend, and then unfairly boomshotted as well. I realised at this point that this challenge was going to be more difficult than I initially imagined, and that I would have to take more time during each set piece in order to progress at a decent pace, rather than going in fist first and dying over and over again. I made it to the stranded village with one more death and came to a section that was way harder than I thought it would be when planning this challenge. The first few sections were fine, a few locusts here and there, but then came the Krill. The actual set pieces here aren't too bad in their own right, however the added element of the Krill attacking you as soon as you step into the darkness made this so much more difficult and caused me more deaths than I would like to admit. There then came a strategic element of saving my grenades to blow up the gas canisters for light over using them to clear enemies. However, there was this one gas canister that just refused to blow up for ages no matter how many grenades I threw at it. I tried making a break for it a few times which did not work at all, and right before I gave in and threw in the towel, it just decided to blow up for whatever reason, but one that I was happy about. I continued on through the darkness with one or two more silly deaths here and there, and started to feel pretty confident in myself and Marcus's grenade throwing abilities. Alright, just to interject myself here, in regards to the death counter, I started to die a lot from this point onwards, so rather than showing every death on screen that might not be strictly relevant to the overall narrative of this video, the counter will just be updated accordingly, so make sure that you're paying attention, just so you know exactly how many times that I've died. But in saying that, I will still continue to show some deaths, if I feel they're relevant to be seen. Hope that makes sense. The one saving grace about this section is that your AI companions will get themselves back up if they go down, either when all the enemies are dead or they just get down by the Krill and there's no possible way for you to get them up, and looking back at the footage it really made this section 10 times easier. I then came across another seemingly stubborn gas canister, but making a break for it actually worked this time and my confidence was at an all-time high. We helped on with the use of a spotlight, continued through the darkness, and then we hit a brick wall. In order to progress, I had to blow up this gas canister and push the car down the hill. However, my overconfidence from before meant that I had used all my grenades and there was no other way for me to get this done. I searched everywhere for more grenades. Honestly, I checked so many buildings so many times, tried punching it once or twice for light and even tried making a run for it, but nothing worked no matter how hard I tried. It was with a heavy heart that I had to shoot this gas canister in order to progress. Now, admittedly, this was down to poor planning by me, and if I just had one extra grenade, it would have been fine, there would be no issues whatsoever, and this part could have easily been done, but I'll let you be the judge on whether this is a true fail or not. Technically, I did have to use a gun, but it's technically avoidable at the same time, so I'll leave the final call down to you. We then helped this old guy defend his gas station whilst filling up the junker before making our way through the krill-infested highway.
You can kiss my wrinkly old ass!
This was the part I was referring to at the start of the video, and although we were technically killing the krill, I'm not counting this as a gun, since it's a spotlight and not a gun. That's why. The section after though was way more time consuming than I initially thought it would be, purely down to the sheer number of enemies in the hard to reach places, or just out of range of my grenades. There were seemingly an infinite respawn of grenades which did help, and the AI companions weren't too bad, but similarly to the balcony set piece in Act 1, after a certain amount of time things seemed to die down and we continued onwards without any issues. Overall, nothing majorly difficult, but slightly time consuming and annoying more so than anything else. We made our escape in the Junker and continued on to the Spooky Factory, where we met our first batch of Lambent Locust. I really had to take that a few times. Lambent Locust is quite difficult in my accent.
Control, we got what looks like glowing wretches out here.
Copy that. We've had reports of lambent wretches before, possibly due to direct emulsion exposure.
I always love this part of the game though. It's so gloomy and atmospheric that it really solidifies the tone of Gears, or at least for me, it really sets home how spooky and gritty and alone you really are in this vast world of war. It's really good. Overall though, the factory wasn't too bad. We meet another old dude with a wicked cool hat who meets an unfortunate and grisly end, one that we also meet as well. However, after navigating the weird floorboard puzzle successfully, there's nothing really that stands in our way in terms of difficulty. One part I was worried about though was a kart ride, as you're somewhat at the mercy of the track, but it went a lot smoother than I was expecting, with one or two close calls but nothing to be concerned with. We fight off the rest of the Locust blocking our way and make our way down into the hollow in order to set off the resonator, like the burly men we are, like the cogs of war. Yeah, we're just kinda, yeah, we're trying to save humanity. Things do go as smoothly as you'd expect to, even with the split path taken, but then we run into our lingering friend, the Corpser. Now the whole idea of this fight is to move the Corpser back bit by bit until she's on a platform that sinks into the emulsion, but trust me when I say this, it is physically impossible to do this without shooting a gun. Honestly, I tried so many different tactics to do this, with grenades, with melee, waiting for Dom to make a move and take a shot, but no matter how many times I tried or what I tried, it just did not work in any way, shape or form. There seemed to be like an invisible wall stopping me from getting anywhere near close in regards to the melee damage. The grenades did absolutely sweet fuck all, and it was an absolute nightmare, so begrudgingly I had to use my Lancer, and after one more death, we tricked the beast into its own demise and continued deeper into the hollow. This part was murder for some reason. This is a section of the game that introduces us to the Theron guards, and for some reason it took me absolutely ages. The Therons themselves aren't too much more difficult than a standard Locust. I think they can tank one more melee hit, but picking up a torque bow really helps as it deals more damage with its bladed edge. After several deaths, I was sick of hearing this question.
Hey Marcus, how much do you think all that emulsion's worth?
And this hiss. This part isn't that difficult. I think looking back at the footage I was perhaps rushing a bit too much, as I knew this was the end of the chapter, and for a section of the game that should have taken maybe 10 minutes at most, I ended up spending 30 minutes overall. We were eventually successful in setting off the resonator, however after a heroic leap of faith, we found out that our plan didn't go quite as well as we'd hoped, but thankfully Baird found exactly what we needed in order to progress. Our next objective was to head back to the Phoenix Estate, which wasn't overly difficult for the most part. However, the Grenadiers did cause us a little trouble, and every now and again the AI would just freeze after being revived, which did slow things down considerably. As mentioned before though, the torque bow really helped us out for pretty much the rest of the game, and we continued on through the hordes of Locust and the occasional Cedar that we then had to use the hammer on. Before we could reach the Phoenix Estate, however, we had another run-in with the Berserker. This one was a little bit more complex as there was the added element of a timer, however she went down pretty quickly with time to spare. We died a few more times but made it to our destination with no major issues, except for when Dom decided not to move forward and left me to deal with a bunch of Locust all on my own.
Fall in! Moving! Engage! Engaging!
But the actual estate was fine. A cheeky death here and there when we were inside, but we protected Jack as he done Jack stuff and made our daring escape flawlessly. And finally, we made it to the final chapter. To be honest, this is a relatively short chapter and there's really nothing to comment on overall. We did fight one more Berserker and a couple of Reavers that we unfortunately had to use a turret on, otherwise the game would not progress. However, we made it to General Ram in roughly 15 minutes with no additional deaths. However, this was by far the most difficult section of the entire run. I had this part in my mind the entire time I was playing the game. Even before I started playing the game, I had this part in my mind, with the mindset that it would be super simple and done in a couple of tries, but it took me pretty much one whole hour over 2 days in 2 different play sessions in order to finally put this guy down for good. There are so many elements that you don't consider when fighting him normally. You have his big ass turret, the additional reavers flying around, as well as the krill that will kill you if you don't stand over small sections of the train with little lights on the floor. And at one point I genuinely thought it was impossible. I was genuinely ready for throwing in a till. I was almost beaten, I was almost broken. I tried so many different techniques, from sitting back and letting Dom do all the work, from running in head first using nothing but melee and then nothing but grenades. But finally, after a combination of pretty much everything, a ton of deaths and almost a broken chair, I was triumphant and I had beaten the game without firing a single gun or bullet. Almost. And there we have it. That kind of brings us to the end of the video. So thank you so very much for watching. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and this particular video and this particular edit has been in the works for a good couple of months. It should have taken me a lot less time than that, but so many things happened IRL and in real life and stuff that it kind of, you know, put an extension on my time scale. And you can tell this part of the video is a lot more ad-libbed than the previous sections. But let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think of the actual challenge. Let me know what you think about this type of video, and let me know what you think about the actual video itself. I loved doing it. I thought it was so much fun. I loved filming it. I loved editing it. I loved writing a script for it, and I really wanted to make more content of this nature that had such a, not a high production value, but higher than normal than I normally do. And I really enjoyed it. I loved the whole process of it. Again, I'm going to be a bit more productive in future. I've got so many more runs and so many more challenges and so many more games in mind that I want to do and that I want to try. And if you liked it and you want to see me try more games, then let me know down below. You know, it doesn't have to be Gears of War. It doesn't have to be like no shooting challenges. It can be any game and any challenge that you think I'm going to be good at, that you think it will take me forever, that you think that I can't do. Let me know. I'll give it a try. And if I do try it and make a video out of it, you will be credited, of course. You know, any ideas that you give me, I'll be more than happy to take on board. But again, I can't stress enough that I loved doing this. I love putting things together of this nature, and I love seeing it all come together, and I'm really pleased with the final product thus far. So yeah, any feedback that you've got, whether it's good, bad, constructive, positive, negative, let me know. I'm all ears, and I really want to hear it. If you're new here, you're more than welcome to subscribe. You can drop a like down below, follow me on Twitter, and check out the rest of the links in the description. You know, you can follow me over on Twitch. I stream there 3 times a week. You can check out everything else down below, or you don't need to. You know, I'm not your dad. You can do whatever you want. You know, but you know, anything that you want to do in order to support me would be very much appreciated. And yeah, again, I can't thank you enough for watching this far. If you have watched this far, and you liked what you've seen here, comment down below. Yeah, fucking something about Ram's ass, you know, right, Ram's ass, nothing more, nothing less, and then I'll know that you have watched it this far and that you've liked the video. And again, if you want to suggest anything else, do let me know down below. But my name is Sam. Thank you so very much for stopping by. I really do hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful year. You know, I hope you're staying safe with everything that's going on. The next one should hopefully be out in the next couple of weeks. I do plan on doing Halo, one of the Halo games, maybe Halo 2 without shooting a gun, and you know, in celebration of Halo 2 anniversary coming to PC tomorrow, as of recording this voiceover. So yeah, if you want to see that, you know, make sure you are subscribed. And again, just thank you so much for stopping by. But yeah, have a wonderful day, keep on gaming, and I really do hope to see you next time. Bye.